For the longest time, I've wanted to make a video regarding the happiness of NBA players, but I can never find the right approach for such a delicate topic. After all, mental illnesses such as depression and anxiety have become sort of a hot topic in today's society, as the amount of celebrities and people in general who have been opening up about their battles with mental illnesses have been increasing year by year. For example, both Kevin Love and DeMar DeRozan opened up about their battles in 2018, and afterwards both players were lauded for their abilities to talk about such sensitive topics. After all, admitting to the public that you've been battling with a mental illness is not the easiest thing to do. However, while some were calling Love and DeRozan heroes of sorts for opening up about their battles, there were some other people who didn't feel the same way. Some people out there who were confused as to how these athletes who are making $30+ million a year could ever be depressed in the first place. And it's actually not that hard to imagine why some people will be confused over the situation. After all, in our society, from a very young age, we are taught that the people who are happiest in life are often the people with the most money. Since money can buy the fancy cars, the big houses, and more importantly, money can get you respect. Because people respect those who have money a lot more than they respect those who don't. It may not be right, it's messed up, but it's the way that our society works. Which is why a good portion of our society feels the need to seek out fame, fortune, and glory. Some people want it so much they'd be willing to trample on others or even break basic human violations to get it. I mean, they will completely disregard all ethics and do whatever they gotta do to get money, or in their eyes, to get happy. The problem with this is though, that it's already been said numerous times throughout history that money cannot buy you happiness. That's the one thing that it will never be able to buy you. It can buy you anything else in this world. You want women, you got it. You want the newest car, the newest tech, you got it. You want the big house on the island resort, guess what? You got the money, you got it. But the one thing that it cannot provide you with is long-term happiness. However, even though money not being able to buy happiness is a pretty common term, it just seems like most people have to figure that out for themselves, or they want to figure that out for themselves. After all, how much unhappier could you be if you had a lot of money compared to where you are now? Trying to tell people who are struggling to pay off their rent or mortgages that money doesn't buy them happiness is like telling a beggar that food isn't a solution to their hungriness. But it's true. Well, the money part, maybe not necessarily the food part. And it's why actor Jim Carrey says that he wishes everyone on this planet was rich so that we could all finally realize that money really doesn't buy happiness. Or to quote one of my favorite J. Cole lines, I hope you know that money don't erase the pain. So while it is necessary for survival in this technological and industrial society of ours, the bottom line is still money can only buy you things, and things will not bring you happiness. So then that opens up the big question. If it's not money, then what is it? What can make you happy, and why is it that these NBA players are so sad? I mean, what is it that caused NBA Commissioner Adam Silver to make the statement that a majority of NBA players are generally unhappy? And this is often the part where I struggle the most when it comes to making this video, because trying to find one blanket reason or one blanket statement as to why people are unhappy even if they have money, especially when it comes to pro athletes, is impossible to do. There's no exactly one reason as to why all of these athletes are unhappy. But when looking at a majority of the reasons and a majority of the athletes that you see are unhappy and who have voiced how unhappy they are, there is a common theme that I think gets thrown into the mix. Pressure. Now, saying that professional athletes might suffer a lot from the pressure we put on them is kind of hard to imagine, because these are professional athletes. They're supposed to be able to thrive under pressure. I mean, that's what they get paid to do. They get paid out there to go on the big bucks, to go on the big stage, to go out there and perform, right, under pressure. But the thing is, I'm not just talking about the pressure that they feel going out under the court. I'm talking about the pressure that these athletes feel every single day during every single decision that they have to make throughout the day. In his article detailing the unhappiness of NBA players, Adam Silver brought up the point of just how much scrutiny these players are under even before they enter the NBA. As a player like Zion Williamson, who just turned 19 years old in July, has already been in the media spotlight since he was in high school. And the same can be said for any number of these top tier high school athletes. Bol Bol, Michael Porter Jr., Shareef O'Neal, LaMelo Ball. I mean, all around, loads of these young players from an early age are thrusted into the media spotlight, proclaimed to be the next big thing from such an early age. While I'm sure it must be fun and exciting for the players and their families at times, since it means they're that much closer to making their dream of making the NBA finally come true, and keeping it real here, a lot of the players and their families who are on the verge of making the NBA that you see getting hyped up, both them and their families could really use that money, making it all the more exciting. So with that being the case, long or even short-term repercussions from tossing their kids in front of the media's eyes and putting them out there for the entire world from such an early age kind of goes out the window. It takes a backseat to what they're offering. It takes a backseat to the money, it takes a backseat to the fame, it takes a backseat to completely everything else. No one's thinking about the mental health aspect of things when their kids are being plastered all over the news. Now you could say that the one decent thing about all of this is that for the most part, the media coverage of these young players is always pretty good. I mean, they always like to show the young players in a good light. Like I said, they like to proclaim them as the next up and coming things in the NBA. They're not going to be trashing on some 14, 15, 16-year-old kid saying what he needs to improve, saying they need to get better, blah, 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 blah. For the most part, that's not the case. But that's not to say that there isn't a massive problem with us fans and the media building these players up to such monumental heights even before they reach the NBA. Take LeBron James Jr. for example. At 14 years old, not even old enough to have a driver's license yet, new articles are coming out every single day regarding every move that the teenager makes. His first dunk being plastered all over ESPN and every other sporting network. His dad celebrating his games, being the cause for debate between people 2, 3, 4, even 5 times his age. Already media speculation as to what college he's going to attend. People discussing if he will be as good as or even better than his father. I mean, all of this going on for a freaking 14-year-old. Now, LeBron James himself being his father and teaching him how to navigate the ropes of the media speculation and hearing his name in the news every day should help Bronny Jr. out a lot compared to the kids whose parents aren't as well versed in handling the ups and downs of the media as LeBron James is. But the point here is, from a very, very, very young age, a lot of these kids are being put under a microscope. And because of that, any good or bad that comes out about these kids will be blown way out of proportion. And even though nothing bad generally gets said about these players before they make it to the NBA, we've all seen how quickly the narrative can switch up as soon as they do make it to the NBA. A perfect example of this would be Markelle Fultz. He was just like Zion or any other highly touted athlete coming out of high school or college, as the hype that the media generated around him from such a young age built to the point where we all expected him out of the gate to be this basketball legend who seemed destined to have his name enshrined to the Basketball Hall of Fame. Then some things happen, and not even a full year later, he's being dragged through the dirt by the media, being proclaimed as the biggest bust in the entire NBA. And then you can look at the way Zion Williamson is already starting to get treated by the media. I mean, just a couple of months ago, everyone was talking about how he's the next LeBron James. He's going to be better than LeBron James. The NBA has never seen anyone like Zion Williamson before, giving a whole list of reasons as to why he was going to be the next best thing. Now, if you look at Zion Williamson in the news, it's news outlets and stuff speculating, oh, you know what? He's actually not going to be that good. He's going to be a bust. This player is better. This player is going to be better. It's Zion Williamson hate fest is already ready to be brewing in the media, and we're hating on a kid that's 19 years old. After all of these years of building him up, all of a sudden, people want to see him start to fail. And that's not even to mention what's going to happen once LeBron James Jr. gets closer to making it to the NBA. Or when he gets drafted, the media storm that will be surrounding this kid who the nation once adored, who the media were hyping up once again to no end, will be at an all-time high. If LeBron James Jr. fails to live up to the expectations that are put on him because of the media, but also because of who his father is, the media will rip into him. If his rookie year doesn't measure up to the rookie year that LeBron James had, by the way, LeBron James having one of the best rookie years of all times, the media will absolutely destroy his son for it. Not because of anything LeBron James Jr. did himself, but because of the hype that we created and the expectations that we had for this player. We built him up, we're going to tear him down. We really think that these athletes don't hear or either don't care about the things that we say about them, when that's just not the reality of the situation. Think about this: if the entire nation was online talking about how you were doing in school or how you were doing in your job, how would that make you feel? It might make you feel great, or it might even inflate your ego if they're saying good things about you. You might feel like $1 million if people are talking all great about you online, right? You'll feel good. But what happens when the narrative switches up and all of a sudden you're messing up in school? You get suspended, you get expelled, and everyone's talking about that. Or you mess up on your job, you get fired, and now everyone online is talking about how you deserved it for X, Y, or Z reason. Then, how would you feel? You'd feel terrible. And can you imagine what that would do to your mental state? You'd be absolutely destroyed. So if that's the case, why is it exactly that we think it's going to be any different for these players? The amount of pressure put on them every single day just to keep their names out of the media spotlight must be immense. And that's just because of the amount of prestige that they hold in the society of ours. The more money you make, the higher the pedestal you're going to be on, especially if you're in the public spotlight all the time like these NBA players. And when you're in the public eye like these players, when you're in the spotlight, you're held to an unreasonable standard that literally no other regular person is held to. And when you mess up, you're going to hear about it and we're going to hate you for it. If you do something good, you'll also hear about it and we're going to love you for it. It's a love-hate relationship. They get it all the time, and they're made an example of for the entire world. What makes it even worse is they had to put on an act and make it seem like nothing we say or do phases them. They have to act like their skin is freaking bulletproof when that's just not the case. Of course they're going to be affected by the things we say. We're telling them every day, hundreds of times a day, thousands of times a day, in their DMs and in their mentions and their notifications. They see this stuff. There's no way that they don't see this stuff. They're flooded with it. They're swarmed with it. There might be the positive messages in there as well, but there's also going to be a lot of hate, especially if they had a bad game. If a player has a bad game, they cost your favorite team a game, what's the first thing you start doing? You start lambasting that player, saying, you're absolute trash, you suck so bad, I cannot wait till you get traded. Why are you making the money you're making? We send all of this hate, all of this negativity their way, and then wonder why it is that they're not happy. And then the ones who do speak up about it, who do say how they're affected, they get labeled as soft, sensitive, or insecure. It's a lose-lose situation for the players in all honesty. We might tell them to have thicker skin, but the reality is, no matter how thick the skin, the things that we say are still going to get through to them. These players will allow the compliments of others to build them up and maybe even overinflate their ego, but if they're gonna do that, then they also have to let the bad in as well. They're also taking in all of the negative. You can't take the good without the bad. That's just one of the general basic philosophies of life. The only way, the absolute only way for athletes or anyone in general to avoid feeling like this, to avoid the emotional roller coaster that being in the public spotlight will take you on, is by staying even keeled, which means you can't accept the good or the bad, right? If people are trying to build you up, you can't let them build you up, because if you allow people the power to build you up, you're also giving them the power to tear you down. But I guess that's pretty much it. I just had to hop on here and say that I've been waiting to make this video for forever, and I don't know, I guess the general story is we have to see these athletes for what they really are. And even though they have cool jobs, even though they're making millions of dollars, even though they're living their dreams, they're still freaking humans. Nothing else changes. They still have emotions, they still have feelings, they still go through things. None of that changes just because you have a little bit of money. Just because you got money doesn't mean you're gonna be happy.